you a podcaster? If so, do you wonder how you can get more subscribers and more downloads for your podcast? Well, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to add the Apple subscribe bar to the top of your website. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, I want to share that this is something that my friend Richie Ote had shown me on the Hustle and Flowchart podcast website, or Evergreen Profits. Joe Fear and Matt Wolf over there are really awesome, and immediately when I saw it, I was blown away. Now, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you a screen share in just a second, but let me tell you, since I put the code into my website header, downloads have increased tremendously. So let me show you what I'm talking about. It is this bar at the top. So above where you see Kim Sutton, at the very top, underneath the URL bar, where it says positive productivity. This is a Apple Podcasts App Store bar that's at the top of my website when my website is viewed on an iPhone and on Safari. Now, I did ask my 17-year-old son to check on his Android to see if it still works from there, and he said no, he doesn't see it. And I've also had clients who I've installed the bar on their websites, and while they did have iPhones, they used Chrome on their iPhone. I don't know why, and they couldn't see it either. So again, this is only for iPhone users, or it will only be visible to iPhone site visitors who are viewing your site on Safari. All right, so the way that you're going to do this is that there's a special magic piece of code that you're going to want to use. And I'm going to put that code down in the footer or down in the description for this video. But what you need to make sure to do is to change out the code that I'm going to give you. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just one moment for your website code. I totally forgot to pick up the code before I jumped on here. So I'm just going to go grab it quick and I'll put it in the description down below. Let me just get that code for you, and then I'm going to share that page. This is in the back end of my site. I am in Divi. I use Divi on WordPress, and what you should be able to see here is it says add code to the head of your blog. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and it's this code right here that starts with meta name. You can see Apple iTunes app, and then there is app ID with a number after it. Now this number right here, this 11614292260, by all means, you can put that on your site, but that's going to get people to subscribe to my podcast, the Positive Productivity Podcast. What you want to do is get them to subscribe to yours. So let's just imagine that I was Joe and Matt for Hustle and Flowchart. I'm going to go into Google and I'm going to search for Hustle and Flowchart Podcast, and I'm going to put Apple. So I want to see Apple Podcasts. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull up the podcast.apple.com search result for their podcast. And when it pulls up, you're going to see that it includes at the end of the URL this ID number. Your podcast, when you search for it and search for the name with Apple Podcasts, it may or may not include ID at the beginning of the number. My podcast, for example, did not include ID. So if you're not seeing it show up on your site and you did not include ID in the code right here where it says app ID equals, you might need to add ID before the number. Again, I didn't have to because when I did the search, the URL did not include ID before the number. So what you want to do is do a search for your podcast, grab this ID number at the end, and then replace the little bit of code that I'm going to provide to you with your number. And voila, you should see then your podcast popping up on Safari on iPhones from here on out. And it's so awesome because now people who are visiting your site can just click view. It will take them over to the Apple Podcast Store. They can subscribe right away, and ding, you just got another subscriber. I'd love to hear what you think about this or what you thought about this video. So make sure to leave a comment down below, like the video, share it with your podcaster friends, and come back next week for another session of Work Smarter, Not Harder. I'm Kim Sutton. I'm the host of the Positive Productivity Podcast, and it's my goal to help business owners get away from their businesses and back to the people and activities they love. So until next week, go forth and make it a positive and a productive day. That is not what I'm trying to show you. A show preview. There we go.